Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the Laws of KASHRUS by Rabbi Yamin Forst, and I am skipping the second chapter, which is about Hilchas Melicha, which is the laws of salting the meat after it is shechted in order to prepare it for eating. And the reason I am is because most of us, I would imagine 99.99% of the people listening to this shir, are buying their meat from the stores and the butchers, which means it's coming to you after it was already salted. So most of us will not apply these halachas to our life really at all, unless you are a shoichet, or unless you work in the shlachthaus, in the slaughterhouse. And if you do work in there and you are a shoichet, I highly doubt that you need to listen to these halachas of Melicha because you know them already anyway. So I'm going to skip the second chapter of the Sefer and I'm going to move now to the third chapter, which brings us to a very pertinent Indian, a very pertinent halacha. Some people are well aware of it, and some people are semi-aware, and some people are not aware of this halacha at all. So he writes over here, Hakdama lehilches machle akum, an introduction to the laws of food that is from akum, from non-Jews, non-Jewish food. Now, what does non-Jewish food mean? It doesn't mean not kosher food, as we will see. Until this point in the Sefer, we've been speaking about prohibited foods that are midiraisa, that the Torah says you are not allowed to eat. However, there are certain types of food that are prohibited to eat that the only reason why is because the Rabbanan, the great Chachamim, the sages of the Mishnah and the Gemara came along and they said, we're not allowed to eat them. And amongst those decrees that the Chachamim made is something called Meichali Goyim, the food of the non-Jews. Vehem pas akum. Number one, you have the bread that was baked by non-Jews. Bishal akum, food that was cooked by the Goyim. Chalav shal akum, milk that is not Jewish. It is not Jewish milk. We'll have to see what that means. Gevinas akum, cheese that was made by the Goyim. Ustam yenim, and so too wine that is in the possession of the non-Jews and made by the non-Jews, as we will see, is also going to be problematic. Yesh me'em ha'mevusasim achashash isur Torah k'may chalav shel akum u'gvinas akum k'may shizbar b'mekama. Some of these prohibitions that the Chachamim put into play are actually a concern of an isur Torah, of a Torah prohibition. For example, the milk of the non-Jew or the cheese of the non-Jew, as we will explain later on in this work. And there are certain things that we're going to discuss that the only reason that is usher, that we're not allowed to eat it, is because the Chachamim made a decree for the reason that we will discuss. And then he writes, V'zeh Lashon HaRambam. If you look in the words of the Rambam, in the laws of Meichalos Asurais, and the laws of the food that you're not allowed to eat, he says the following: V'yesh sham divar macherim. There are other types of food. Asru oisan chachamim, that our sages asert, said we're not allowed to eat. V'afa pi she'en li isura ikar min haTorah, even though that the isurim are not something that you find in the Torah. Gazru aleihem, they still made a decree upon them, k'dei lizrachek min hagoyim, in order that they would distance us from the non-Jewish world, ad shelo yisarva ben Yisrael, so that the Jewish people would not mix in together with the Goyim, with the non-Jews, v'yavayu liyidei chasnus, and eventually come to marry a non-Jew. And the Rambam is pointing out, and we're going to see it more in depth, the understanding, that Chazal were concerned that if you eat with the non-Jews, and you drink with the non-Jews, and you eat their food and you drink their drinks, eventually the eating is a very social activity that a person is involved with. It comes with conversation, it comes with schmoozing, it comes with laughter, with levity, with lightheadedness. It comes with casual conversation. and communication and a relationship and a bond that you create with a person. And if a Jew is eating and drinking together with a non-Jew, their food, or food as we're going to see that even is cooked or baked by them, even if the ingredients are kosher and the like, you'll feel that you're getting a tava, you're getting a benefit from them, and that will bring you to a kir of das, that will bring you to close, your mind will get closer to theirs, and eventually, chas v'chalila, it could end up that a Jew will end up marrying a non-Jew as a result. So people say, what are Chazal worried about? Puk chazi. We say, take a look at the world and look at a generation right now that is 75% intermarriage of the Jewish people with the non-Jewish world. Where did it begin? It starts with a drink. It starts with a cheeseburger. It starts with a casual conversation. It starts with a nice restaurant and a meal. It starts with buttered popcorn and licorice in the movie theater. That's where it starts, and it starts with kir of das. It brings people closer together, and then all of the boundaries, all of the mechitzas, all of the walls start coming down, and suddenly the next thing you know, there's a wedding that's taking place with the priest and the rabbi standing under the chuppah together with the talis of the zayda, who's probably rolling over in his grave. Why? Because it started with food. It started with being social. And Chazal, in their infinite wisdom, understood this, and therefore they made these gezeras, they made these decrees to protect us, so that we should be able to protect our sanctity, our dignity, and our yadus and our Yiddishkeit. To be continued. We have much to say, and we'll continue Be'ez Hashem next week. Have a wonderful Shabbos.